The most expensive CSGO skin ever has been sold. There's a secret announcement coming for Diablo 4, and Bowser got released from prison. Let's get into the hot news, everybody. I'm your Brett host. We're going to be going over the hottest gaming news that I can find on the internet while you enjoy your breakfast this Wednesday, April 19th, 2023. And we're going to start off today talking about people who have a lot more money than I do, because an ultra rare CSGO skin has sold for a whopping $400,000. And before I show you the picture of it, this does seem to be part of a resurgence of what's going on with CSGO skins, especially because it was announced by Valve that Counter-Strike 2 will allow you to take all of your cosmetic items from CSGO over to the brand new game. So this particular pattern comes from a 2014 event where there's only 121 such skins in existence back when CSGO was a much smaller game than it is now. And you can see here that is the one that sold for it. The 4X Titan Holo as well as the Karambit, the combined sale was over $500,000, with the gun taking up the vast majority of that. Again, if you look at the sales of cosmetic items in CSGO, it looks like they are booming. Prices are continuously increasing, and it looks like people are getting ready for the brand new game. I'm curious, I know it's a thing for people to buy and sell digital goods in video games. What's the dumbest purchase you've ever made for purely a cosmetic item? Something that you absolutely regret you never actually got to use? Let me know down below in the comments. But speaking of types of things like that being in video games, Square Enix has decided that they are going to be doubling, nay, tripling down on blockchain, because they've announced a brand new partnership coming out with Elixir, which is a company that's generating visibility and adoption of Web3 games among traditional gamers. Now, there's not a whole lot known about how Square Enix is specifically partnering with this company to do crypto stuff, but Elixir has also partnered with Epic Games to put Web3 games next to regular games on the Epic Games launcher, which some people are against. However, this is part of Square Enix's vision for this year. They said that they're going to have an aggressive investment into blockchain technologies and NFTs, which, if we can be honest, that's kind of exactly what the CSGO skin solution is like. It's the same exact idea, just not implemented in a really poor way where you have to buy into this entire blockchain idea. We have the same exact thing, it just doesn't require blockchain. I don't know if it's clear, but I'm an anti-cryptoist, but I thought the best comment on this entire situation is this is a smart move on their part, needed to do something to offset the potentially good news of a successful Final Fantasy XVI launch. But speaking of bad news, Jonathan Majors has been dropped by his talent manager company as well as the PR firm surrounding a domestic abuse arrest that took place last month. As more details have come out about this abuse that has happened, more and more companies are pulling away from the up-and-coming stars, especially after he was slated to be the big bad in the MCU in the next two Avengers films with Kang's Dynasty. It looks like that's potentially up in the air. His defense lawyer is adamantly expressing innocence, but that's not stopping companies like the US Army from pulling out on campaigns with him, even though Marvel's Cinematic Universe has yet to comment on the entire situation. It remains to be seen how that's going to shake out. But what is shaking out in the Destiny world is Bungie is firmly accusing one of the well-known gamers in their ecosystem for leaking confidential information, with them saying that they have irrefutable evidence regarding a streamer who leaked some details from an online presentation that Bungie put on with regards to Destiny 2. One of the ones that's being shared publicly is a screenshot of the desktop of the leaker, which you can see on the left, as well as the screenshot of the streamer on the right, which the streamer says, "Do you really think I would take a picture of my own desktop and then leak it? The bots on the internet, I show my desktop daily while live for 10 to 12 hours a day." The Destiny 2 streamer is denying any sort of complicitness in this. However, Bungie is saying our security and legal teams have reviewed irrefutable evidence, including video recordings, verified messages, and images demonstrating a pattern over time that confirm the same individual shared confidential information from community summits spanning multiple years. The streamer hasn't responded since Bungie has come out with that official statement saying that they have irrefutable evidence, but we'll keep you posted if anything develops out of this situation, if there's any legal action that's going to be taking place by Bungie's end, or if they're going to potentially ban him from the game. We'll keep you updated as that moves along. And Horizon Forbidden West is getting a major update today because the Burning Shores DLC has finally come out. But in the patch that was preparing for it, 1.21, there was a lot of accessibility features added, which I am always a fan of: enlarging subtitles, auto pickup, color blindness settings, auto camera, navigation assist, and focus mode, and the one that's getting the talk of the town, thalassophobia mode, which changes how you experience the underwater portions of the video game, with the company saying that they want to ease thalassophobia symptoms by improving underwater ambient visibility invisibility and allowing you to breathe indefinitely regardless of story progression, so not trying to fake any sort of running out of oxygen for anybody who has the fear of the deep sea, which would cause them to panic, which Panic has sold 50,000 Playdates. Yeah, that's the company that sells this little emulator that took the world by storm, opened up a Kickstarter, sold out of 20,000 units immediately, and has now reported sales 2.5 times what they initially expected, going over 50,000 units. They've since had to increase the price from $179 to $199. However, they believe that this isn't going to slow down sales. They currently have a game library of 24 games that you get access to when you buy it. There's 400 titles available on itch.io, and you can also sideload apps. Let me know if you have a Playdate, you've considered getting one. Does the price point hold you back from it? What would it take for you to pick one up, or do you have a need for it at all? I want to hear from you down below, but I can know that the Playdate cannot install Star Wars Jedi Survivor. We talked about recently how this is coming in at the 5th largest game install of all time when it comes to official AAA titles releasing. I know that a lot of people were like, but Brett, what about Ark Survival Evolved? Which you just can't count. Mods and whatever just don't count. This is the official install from the get-go, not even talking about what it can potentially uncompress to or go to if you add mods to the actual game. So the official game coming out on PS5 is going to be 147.57 gigabytes for just one single game, which just continues to show the hilarity of the fact that Sony only gave 825 gigabytes on the PS5. That is 17% of the entire drive. But again, you don't even get that as fully usable. If we're looking at only usable space, you're looking at over 20% of the PS5's drive being dedicated to one Jedi Survivor, which is going to be available for preload on the 26th with its release date coming out on the 28th. And while Jedi Survivor is not going to go well for your storage, it also looks like Ubisoft's XDefiant game is not going well in the closed beta that's happening, with reports coming out that they have a ton of issues on progression, not saving with regards to the servers, also the servers not getting shots correctly where people are actually able to shoot around corners or through walls potentially, and making it so it's a bad experience for a lot of people. But they came out and said that they are working to bring the servers down, to do a patch to fix everything, and then they have to go through a testing process. Hopefully they will also be able to extend the beta so that anybody who had a rough time with the way it currently is can get some hope to play it in a more usable state. Let me know if you've tried out XDefiant down below in those comments. But Ubisoft also going to be sharing about The Division shortly, with new details coming out on the Division franchise in a live stream that should be happening tomorrow, April 20th. So they're going to give details on The Division 2 for year 5, which they've already committed is going to happen, as well as the spin-off Heartland and potentially a new upcoming project related to The Division that we're not yet aware of. And we're also not aware of some stuff going on with Diablo 4, because they're coming out and talking about a secret update, with Rod Ferguson saying that, is this the announcement with the secret update, or are we not talking about that yet? So that's going to be a live stream, again, also taking place tomorrow, April 20th at 11 a.m. Pacific time. Again, we don't know what secret announcement they're talking about. It's definitely not going to be overlay maps, which they said, as we talked about in yesterday's episode of Hot News, they don't have plans to implement into Diablo 4. Speculate. What do you want it to be? I want to hear from you down below in the comments. But what WWE wrestlers wanted things to be like is for them to be able to stream on Twitch. There's been a long sordid history between the wrestling organization and Twitch, and the ability for the wrestlers to have some sort of public persona that is live, and this has gone back and forth between the WWE, Twitch, and the wrestlers for quite some time now, and it looks like they've come to a new decision between the platform, between the wrestlers, as well as the WWE corporation, with it being reported that they should be able to stream on Twitch with almost no restrictions. The only one is that they will have to get special approval for streaming with wrestlers from different organizations that are not part of the WWE. But considering that the WWE is all about entertainment, it's all about actually having this public persona, giving the wrestlers the opportunity to potentially express this on a live format makes a lot of sense to me, but the revenues would have to be figured out between the companies and Twitch. And what you need to figure out is, if you're getting ready for Tears of the Kingdom on your Nintendo Switch, is whether or not it's dead or not, your Switch. Because Nintendo is coming out with a PSA alerting you that there's a problem with the lithium-ion batteries in the Nintendo Switch, and that if you have left it uncharged for the last 5-6 years since you got it, because you only got it for Breath of the Wild and you've put it in a cupboard since then, well then you might not actually be able to turn this bad boy back on, especially especially because it will be unable to charge, and then you'll have to go through Nintendo in order to get the battery replaced because it's a bug with the system. If it goes without charge for too long, it's not going to work anymore, and especially with so many people breaking out their Switch in anticipation of Tears of the Kingdom, it looks like they're having to issue this PSA for something that, why would they fix it? Why would they do it for free? You should have known, okay? Just like the Joy-Cons. Why would they fix it for free when they can milk $70 out of you every single time you need to upgrade them? Fix them. But Nintendo might actually need that money because it's being reported that one of the hackers behind Team Executor, who made mod chips for the Switch, has gotten out of jail and is not going to pay the $10 million that Nintendo has legally been obligated from his salary for the rest of his life. Gary Bowser is out on good behavior, has only paid $175 thus far, and yes, the person's name is Bowser, but not to be confused with the CEO of Nintendo America, Doug Bowser. Two different Bowsers being involved in this entire situation. Gary Bowser, part of the Team Executor Switch modding group, he stated that he was part of the PR part of Team Executor who has made modding physical hardware pieces for consoles over the years, going back to the original Xbox One, but this allowed for pirated ROMs to be installed on the Nintendo Switch. It had to physically be installed, but the big issue here is that him and his team actually sold this device rather than just making it freely available, at which point Nintendo sued them and they were obligated to pay back the money. So Bowser was sentenced to 40 months in prison with $4.5 million being owed to Nintendo, but then there was also a separate civil suit where he has to pay $10 million from there, even though Gary has said that he only made about $320,000 off the mod chip sales over 7 years. It wasn't the tens of millions of dollars that were there, and right now they're garnishing his wages that he made while he was in prison, and they took about 25 to 30%, which has left Nintendo getting $175, and likely he will not be able to actually make the rest of the payments for the rest of his life. So after serving 16 months of his 40-month sentence, he's out on good behavior, likely will not be able to pay that financial amount off for the rest of his life. It's a financial life sentence for him. He's out of prison. It's another unfortunate incident of Nintendo constantly going after people for just even deigning to touch their IP. We have personally been the victim of it for showing how to put Android on the Nintendo Switch. I always want to highlight these stories. Nintendo is far too aggressive when it comes to this type of thing. Potentially, were they losing sales? Maybe. I doubt it was that many. You had to buy a Switch in order to use it. Nintendo says that they're protecting their IP. I don't view it that way necessarily. I do agree that potentially maybe this team shouldn't have been selling it, and that if they were giving it away for free, it'd be a different instance. But for somebody who only made a video on how to do something for free that didn't require actually hacking your Switch and still got hit by Nintendo's lawyers, this is not necessarily a good situation, and probably just don't mess with Nintendo. I think that's the rule that you can get from this, because they have a massive legal team behind them. They suffer no consequences if they falsely DMCA strike somebody on YouTube, just like they did with Point Crow, just like they did with us and dozens of other content creators. I always want to highlight stories like this because there are real consequences to stuff that Nintendo chooses to do and the way they choose to act with regards to their IP that is honestly really malicious and harmful to people's lives, when really all they did was make a mod chip and sell it. Is that worth losing $10 million in a year and a half in prison for? I personally don't think it is, but I want to hear from you down below in the comments because this is a conversation. I'm interested to hear your take on this down below. And my take is that I'm done with hot news. I'll be back with more of the hottest gaming news tomorrow, hopefully, if I do another one.